Welcome to another video, boys. Today I will give you a Hearthstone top 5 decks for November 2020. You guys keep telling me I need to be more natural in my videos, so this time I'm gonna try to do the video without a script, but just bullet points and see how it goes. It's probably gonna be horrible, but this one's on you. This is gonna be the last top 5 for this expansion, since the new one is just around the corner. But I do believe that some of these decks might transition well into the new expansion too, so stick around. I will give you an overview of each deck like always, its matchups, a mulligan guide, when going first and when going second, and also if it's worth crafting this late into the expansion. Drop a like if you enjoyed the video and subscribe if you're new. It's free. Really? No. Alright, let's get into it. The first deck on the list has to be Soul Demon Hunter again. It's very strong, it's very popular, it has a lot of healing, board clears, and a ton of burst. In my version, I'm running only one Adept because 2 felt way too clunky. Instead of the Adept, I included a Penflinger which can get you out from a lot of sticky situations. We have Consume Magic for those annoying paladins so you can silence their buffs, and we have Cane so we get through those annoying taunts. We also have Horde Pillager, which acts like a 5th weapon basically. A lot of people are asking me to swap out the Horde Pillager, but honestly, I really think it's pretty good. Sure, it doesn't feel amazing when you have all of your weapons in hand, or none of them, but in most cases it works out pretty good. For the matchups, you're gonna have trouble against Guardian Druid, but that's pretty rare nowadays. West Druid is basically impossible, even though you don't see it on this picture. Both Paladins are pretty rough, but they're not unwinnable. Control Shaman is a very weird situation, because you have to basically finish them off before turn 7 or they're just gonna heal back the top, and with Big Warrior and Silas Warrior, they might armor up way out of your reach, so there's that. Everything else feels pretty easy, so keep on playing it. For the mulligan, you basically always want your good early drops, like Spirit Jailer, Pantra, and Wandmaker. Soulshare is always gonna be a keep as well. Depending on if you're first or second, you might want to keep your Mystic. And it really depends on what the matchup is, because, for instance, if you're against the Demon Hunter and you're expecting it to be a mirror matchup, there's no reason for you to really keep a Mystic. Same goes for Druid, why would you? I really went into detail about the mulligans in my last Soul Demon Hunter guide, so you might as well check it out. Cards you should never be getting baited into keeping would be Militia, Lapidary, Adept, and Cane. Also, don't get too happy about getting Chaos Strike in your starting hand, because usually you want that as an amplifier for more healing or for a bigger blade dance later on, so it's probably better for you to check it out. Horde Pillager could be a good keep for you when you're going second and you already have a good weapon in hand, but other than that it's probably gonna be a dump. I still think the deck is worth crafting since it's only 5k dust, and it's probably gonna remain relevant in the new expansion as well. But you can also go for the Aggro Demon Hunter if you prefer the Smork way. Next up, let's talk about Pure Paladin again, because it rose in popularity again once they nerfed Mage. It really has a lot of great tools in its arsenal, and most of its core cards cost a lot less than they're supposed to. Braggart is super cheap, and he can go as high as a 12-12. Zealot is basically a free drop with a 4-drop weapon attached to it. Goody 2 Shield is anything but a free drop, and basically the list goes on. In my version, I swapped out one Consecration for a Barroth, cause a lot of the times it feels better for you to have basically a free mana Consecration instead of a 4, and you can even tempo it out against some faster decks. For the matchups, your only really bad one would be Broom Paladin, because it has a little bit more utility than you. Galakrond Warlock can be a problem, Control Priest could be annoying, and Secret Rogue can bounce your big buffs as well. But other than that, everything else is deep in the green. For the mulligan, you will always want to keep your Eldor Attendant, First Day of School, a Hand of Adal, a Goody 2 Shields, a Libram of Wisdom, Murger, and it's basically the same when you're going first and second. When you're going second, it's a lot better for you to keep Allura, even though I think she's always a keep, unless in some very bad situations where you know you're against a very fast deck. Other than that, don't get baited into keeping Crusader, Libram of Justice, Pupil, Lady Liadrin, and even Libram of Hope. Against the Soul Demon Hunter, for instance, you could afford to keep actually a Blessing of Authority because they don't really have an answer for it aside from the silence. It also works pretty good against Guardian Druid, but other than that, it's always gonna be a dump for you. You can also check out my detailed guide about Pure Libram Paladin, which I did in the beginning of the new expansion, but it's still quite relevant. This list is about 10,000 dust, so it's probably not worth it for you to craft it right now. Broom Paladin is also doing pretty well, but it's a lot more complicated than Pure, and you will have to do a lot of math, and who likes that? Highlander Hunter is also killing it right now, so let's talk about that. The current season's Highlander deck is pretty face-oriented, and it has a lot of utility in it. You're running the secret package, you have freeze for Soul Demon Hunters, you have pockets so you can have your consistent finishers, and you have your reader for some good hand refill. You have Ooze for weapons and Cold for spells, and the rest is pretty much Smork. As you can see from this screenshot, everything is green for you aside from the mirror, because the traditional Highlander Hunter has more Smork and less utility. For the Mulligan, basically you want to be curving out nicely. Imprisoned Felma is your best keep, but Beaming Sidekick, Adorable Infestation, Inner Pit Initiate, Cult Neophyte, Demon Companion, Face Stalker, Scavenger, even Polkit, even Voracious Reader, even Zephyrus, of course Zephyrus, Bone Chewer, Guardian Arc Merchant, Dwarven Sharpshooter, The Weapon, Tour Guide, and the list goes on. When you're going first, you especially might consider keeping Voracious Reader because you might run out of gas pretty fast. It really depends on the matchup, so consider what utility will you need against the particular opponent. Cards you should probably never be keeping would be Unleash the Hounds, Tracking, your Secrets, Kill Command, and probably Dragonbane. Is it worth crafting? Well, again, it's 10,000 dust, but maybe it's gonna remain in the meta because Highlander Hunter always finds a way. So I think it should remain in the meta until April when Zephyrus and the other Highlander cards rotate. If you don't want to go Highlander, you can try Face Hunter instead, which is also doing pretty good, if not better. And also, some people are having fun with Quest Hunter as well, so you might want to try that. On the number 4, let's talk about Galakrond Rogue. This deck from the past rose again, and it looks pretty much the same with a few cool new inclusions. We don't have the Sage for some card draw anymore, but we have a lot of card generation instead. We also have Polkit so we can shuffle our deck, so we have a great Galakrond. Even though now Galakrond is nerfed, we're gonna get them for 1-drops, but at least we can make sure they're all gonna be expensive cards and not backstabs for 1-drop. This version went all in on invokes, but you can actually swap out the Maniacs for some good utility with Shadow Weavers for instance, so you can freeze those Soul Demon Hunters. Some people also include Secret Passage so they don't have as bad of an early game or a better late game too, but you can swap it out for whatever you feel you're missing. For the matchups it looks pretty iffy, but if you're skilled with the deck it's gonna be a lot greener than this. Demon Hunters are not gonna be fun, Druids are not easy, Highlander Hunter could be a problem, at least Paladins are okay, all of the Priests would be green. With Rogues it's gonna be pretty hard, but there are not that many Rogues on ladder, so all in all it shouldn't be that difficult for you to climb with it. Zoo Warlock can also be a problem, but I can't remember the last time I played against Zoo. And for Warriors, Enrage, Skipper Bomb Warrior and Bomb Warrior would be your worst ones, but the other ones feel okay. Cards you can always keep would be Backstab, Cat and Spy Mistress, and if you already have a minion, you can also keep Praise Galakrond. When you're going second, you can keep Edwin as well, and Seal of Fate becomes a lot better because you will need answers for your opponent's questions early on. Miscreant also is a lot better when you're going second since you can just coin him out on turn 2 or 3. Don't get baited into keeping Krunks, Galakrond and even Polkit. And also be careful with keeping Wand Thief, since she's not really a 1-drop and you will need to be comboing her. Basically, if it's something above 3 mana, you're probably not keeping it, unless you're curving in well into it. This is another 10k dust deck, so it's pretty expensive, but it still might remain relevant in the new expansion as well. Galakrond Rogue has been in the meta ever since it came out, so maybe the new expansion will not change that too much. There are 4 other Rogue archetypes you can take instead, so there's a lot to choose from. You can go for Secret, for Weapon, for Stealth, or even for Highlander, which is doing really great in top 1000 Legend too. And on the 5th spot, we have Bomb Warrior again. This is the version without the pirates, but the pirate version is also pretty interesting, so you might want to try that instead, although this one seems better. Usually, your role is to play the deck very control-y so that the bombs can do their job. A notable combo we should mention here is saving your Whirlwind for the Blastmaster Boom, cause that is your big bomb turn, pun intended. We also have Galakrond for more damage and Krunks for more utility too. For the matchups, basically if it's an aggro meta for you, it's probably not great for you to go the bomb way. Aggro Demon Hunter, Face Hunter, Highlander Hunter and Dragon Hunter will be rough for you. Both Paladins are slightly unfavored, Res Priest is not great, Totem Shaman kills you, Weapon and Stealth Rogue as well. And from the Warrior matchups, Big Warrior and Control Warrior will be too much for you. Most of the other popular matchups are well into the 60s and 70% win rate, so you're still gonna be climbing a lot. For the Mulligan, cards you will always keep would be your Cash, your Quartermaster and Sword and Board. Lord Barroth also makes a lot of sense, and if you already have your weapon or cash, you can also keep the cutting class too. Cards you should never keep would be your Galakrond, your Krunks, your Deathwing, Coerce is not too great, and Brawl too. And you should be saving your Whirlwind for later, like I said. It all comes down to the matchup, and you should decide what kind of removal you want to be keeping. Again, this is a 10k plus deck, but still, it might remain relevant. Same reasoning. Bomb Warrior has always been in the meta ever since it came out basically. There are plenty of other good warrior decks out there, but Enrage and Control are at the top of it. So these are the top 5, but let's talk about the other classes I didn't mention. There are really a ton of other good decks out there. For Priest, you can go Control or Highlander or even Res Priest. Druid is not doing really good right now, but if you really want to play it, I guess Guardian or Quest will be your best bet. For Mage, Small Spell Mage is doing good, but a fast Highlander version is also doing pretty good in Legend, and there's also another very weird Naga Box Pyroblast Mage which also might be interesting for you. For Shaman, Control is doing pretty well, only if you have 30 minutes for game, since it's a fatigue deck. And Totem is also doing pretty decent. In lower ranks, even Murloc Shaman is doing okay, but in higher ranks it's not worth playing. Warlock is not doing too great, but I guess Galakrond is not too bad, and there's also a Pain Zulok out there, which is also worth mentioning. So that's gonna be it for this video, guys. Hope you enjoyed this somewhat less awkward version of me. Let me know in the comments below if you prefer this or my scripted version, because I really can't decide which is better for me, honestly. Thanks for watching, I'm Kris O Five, and I'll see you in my next video or stream.